Hello, welcome to another episode of the Rich Woman Rising podcast. I'm your host, Eloise Tompkins, and I'm a money coach and psychologist, helping women in business to make more money, not through more strategy, but through their nervous system, which sounds a little wacky, but our nervous system actually plays such an important role when it comes to, gosh, yeah, 90% of what we do in day to day. So just a little bit important, which is why I like helping you learn a little bit more about it so that you can understand exactly how it shows up in your business and how it shows up in the decisions that you're making. And today, what I want to have a chat with you about is jealousy. Because, let's call it, because we do feel jealous. And I don't know about you, but I certainly feel jealous from time to time. And it is a really overwhelming emotion, or it can be. And it can be an emotion that we don't like to talk about, we don't like to think about, we like to just kind of push to the side. Because we have, again, been taught as women that jealousy is something that we should be ashamed of. We shouldn't be jealous of someone else's success. We shouldn't want what someone else wants, and we should just be grateful for what we have. Nah, I call bullshit on that for so many reasons, which I'm going to get into. But the thing is, I say this all the time when it comes to emotions. Like with my one-on-one clients, I will say to them a lot that our emotions are actually information, they're data. And when we understand what this data is telling us, then we can use that to understand where to from here. So when we feel jealousy, we get a chance to go, what is my nervous system telling me? What's important about this? And when we approach our emotions like jealousy with curiosity, we have a bit of a chance to understand ourselves, our emotions, and our relationship with money in more depth. Because it's this really awful, ugly feeling that we don't want to admit to feeling, especially if we've done the work, right? We've done a lot of healing, we've done a lot of work, and who wants to say, oh, I feel jealous, I'm jealous of that person? We don't like saying it, but what if it isn't toxic? What if it's actually really sacred? What if it's something that it can help you get to the life that you actually want? Hear me out on this, right? I used to feel a lot of jealousy towards other women. And I used to, I laugh because I'm just thinking about like younger me and oh, how far we've come and how much younger me held me through some really difficult times and difficult emotions. I used to hate jealousy. I used to experience it a lot because I would see other women who, on the surface, would have everything that I thought that I wanted. They would have a nice car, or they'd have a partner, or they'd have money, or they'd have a holiday overseas. And I'd be like, I want that. And I'd look at them and I'd feel so much envy and jealousy, like just sick with jealousy. And I'd be polite to them on the surface, and underneath, there was just this, monster that was just bubbling that I didn't show because I had perfected the mask because you don't show jealousy. And oh my gosh, it was terrible for relationships, terrible for friendships. It can be really toxic when left unaddressed. And I think that's where we see jealousy is because we associate it with that. We associate it with the, to their face, pretend everything's fine behind closed doors. This is where you go with friends and bitch about them behind their back. And I didn't want to be that person. And we don't want to admit that we do that, right? And I get it. Like, we don't want to do that. We don't want to be that kind of woman. But how do you become the woman that actually truly celebrates another person's success while you're still on your own journey, while you're still not where you want to be, while you're still not making the kind of money that you want to make? And then your friend goes and has her highest month yet. And you're like, how do I hold both this jealousy that I'm holding and her win? How do I truly be supportive? Because that can feel like a lot. The thing is, though, Interestingly, jealousy is not about the other person and what they have. Just sit with that for a moment. Jealousy is actually about what you desire. It's showing you, I I want that. I I want to go on that really cool holiday to Greece and I don't know, I'm trying to think of what I would do in Greece. Being on the Mediterranean on a yacht. I want to go on that kind of holiday. I want to do something like that. And then we make that situation, we make it mean something about us. Because often what happens is there's a sense of, it could be grief, for example, that that's not our life. That's not the kind of person we are. It activates all of these beliefs in us because we're looking at that person and there's a sense of admiration in some level because we're like, oh, that's super cool. I would love that. And then grief pops its head up and says, not for you. I don't think so. Because there's a part of your identity that hasn't caught up with your desire and the fact that it actually could be possible for you. You just need to figure out how to get there. And so, what your nervous system's doing is it's seeing the other woman who has what you want or what you desire, and it goes, that was a glitch. That was meant to be a nervous system glitch. I don't know what a nervous system glitch sounds like, probably not that. But your nervous system has a little bit of a glitch. It goes into fight, flight, freeze, fawn mode, and it shuts down. It's like, oh, this feels really overwhelming. And then boop, up pops jealousy. And we don't get jealous of things that we don't care about. Jealousy is actually quite an intimate emotion. We get jealous over things that are important to us. And the thing that I find about the emotion of jealousy is that, like I said before, it becomes toxic when we just let it fester and we don't take action. We don't do anything with it. We're just like, oh, I feel this green-eyed monster within me. And then I think it can also be hard because it's not necessarily the other person's fault that they've got whatever it is that you want. That's not their problem. That's not their fault. So jealousy is a very internal feeling. We can't necessarily go up to our friend and be like, oh, I'm jealous of you, make me feel better. Because that's placing a lot of that emotional responsibility on them when it's really not theirs to hold. It's our emotion to hold. And that said, it becomes up to us to decide what we do with it. Because there's a couple of things that can happen. If we let it turn inward, then it can become shame. It can lead to shame. Shame that we're not doing enough, shame that we're not good enough, shame that we're not there yet, shame that we'll never be there, shame that we were born into the family that we were born into and life is just so much harder for us, or whatever the beliefs that we have about ourselves that are kind of spinning around in our mind. Jealousy can activate a lot of that. It can bring up a lot of that, and it can bring up a lot of shame, which we all know feels really, really awful. Or we can turn it outward and we can become really judgmental. Now, caveat, humans are judgmental. I'm a psychologist and I will tell my clients that, yeah, I do judge too. I'm not immune to judgment. We all judge. It's part of human nature. We can't stop ourselves from judging. We need to judge. But the judgment that I'm talking about when it comes to jealousy is this judgment of, oh, they're better than me. Or who do they think they are? Why do they think they're so good? And then we can become really critical of another woman. We can criticize their choices, their lifestyle, their decisions, the fact that they're making more money but working less. And I mean, that doesn't really serve anyone. And I actually see this and with now I've lost the words, like high profile I don't want to say influencers, business owners who have built a really successful business, yet people will criticize them. Oh, she's making so much money now. She's just become so unrelatable. Okay, Karen, well, she's not for you then. Like, just, calm your farm. And I think that we can get so critical of women who are doing really cool things. And I don't know, it just tears other women down. I really don't like seeing that. But then also, the going back to the shame side of things, that then leaves us kind of in that puddle of self-doubt and just feeling really terrible about ourselves. And oh, how can you win with either of those, right? Like it either goes inwards or outwards. Like, oh, what do we do with it instead? Well, what if instead of kind of having this inward or outward, it becomes a compass? It becomes something that you can hold. And it allows you this opportunity, like for this sacred redirection, right? Like where you get to hold this and you get to determine your path. Because if you don't, and if you let yourself spiral or snowball into the either inward shame or the outward judgment, then what's going to happen is you'll head into the fight, flight, freeze response. Like the fight of, oh, well, I need to prove I'm better, so I need to one up them. And I've certainly done that before. In my 20s, I thought that the only way that I would be interesting is if I lived overseas, because I didn't think there was anything else that would be interesting about me. Obviously, not true, but this is what can happen when self-worth and jealousy kick in. So we're not immune to it. We can kick into the flight mode, which is, well, I won't ever be like her anyway, so or why bother? I'm just not even going to try. Yeah, and not trying means that you're not actually going to reach your goals. Or you might hit in the freeze response, which is where, she's already ahead. I have no chance of catching up. So, like, there's no point. Or you might even hit the fawn response, which is where you try really hard to get that friend's or person's approval, and getting their admiration kind of gives you a bit of a sense of validation and kind of like living vicariously through them, almost like a bit of a groupie. But when your nervous system actually feels safe, you can experience the emotion of jealousy, because I'm not going to lie, when you regulate your nervous system, emotions don't just magically disappear. They're still there. You just know how to use them. You just know how to use those emotions with a compass rather than getting caught in this really intense state where you are in fight, flight, freeze, fawn constantly. And so instead of getting sucked inwards, shame, outwards, judgment, you can start to use that information and bring in evidence about what you want to do with your jealousy when it does hit. And so there's a 4-step process that you can use when jealousy hits. And the first step, really simple, is to name it. Not avoid it, but to name it. Like, okay, I'm feeling jealous. Whew, breathe into that. Okay. Okay. I am feeling jealous. And then when you're noticing that, you can locate it in your body. Well, where do I feel jealous? I'm feeling jealous right now. Where do I feel that? And you might notice that jealousy is kind of just in your throat area. You might feel it in your stomach. You might feel it somewhere else. Just allow yourself to notice where jealousy sits in your body without shaming it, without judging it. And then you can ask yourself, well, okay, I'm feeling jealous. I feel it in my throat area. What is it about this that's not feeling safe for me right now? What part of me is feeling like that's not possible for me? What am I making this mean about me? When we start getting curious about our jealousy, it starts to give us some really rich information. And once we've been able to sit with and connect with that emotion, then we can flip it, because we're able to regulate. We can't do this. We can't do the flipping when we're not regulated. And when I say flip it, we can think about it in terms of, well, okay, this is how I'm feeling. And this means that there's something in here that I desire, and it's showing me what is possible for me in my life. And am I willing to let that be true for me? Am I willing to see this as a possibility for me? Maybe not tomorrow, but am I willing to see that this is actually a possibility if I truly desire this? And notice how that sits in your body. Maybe there'll be a bit of resistance. Maybe there'll be parts of you that kind of kick up and go, no, wrong. And that's information again. This is all information. This is all data points. Because the more that you can connect inwards with yourself, with your emotions, your desires, your jealousy, it helps you to know why you're going after the goals that you've got in your business. It gives you that understanding as to, I'm not just doing this for shits and giggles. I'm doing this because I want to have the kind of time freedom that she has. I'm doing this because I want to be able to go to the spa with my mum on a Wednesday morning and not have to worry about sales coming in. I know that they're just rolling in. I want to be able to take my kid to dance class on a Thursday. Jealousy just helps us tap into those desires. And it isn't a petty emotion. We've been taught that it is. And this is your invitation to start unteaching yourself that it's petty. It is just an emotion. Emotions are primal. It's there for a reason. It's a data point, and it's your nervous system helping you to see what it wants and what it doesn't yet believe that it thinks it can have. That's all. Sounds simple. It sounds really simple in that kind of context, but my invitation to you is to let it help guide you rather than consume you. So, my words got stuck. As always, I hope that this episode has been super helpful for you. I had just been thinking about jealousy this week and really wanted to share this conversation. And if you want to unpack yourself, if you want to unpack more about your own unique subconscious blocks and how your nervous system holds on to this, then you might love the secret podcast that I have just released, which walks you through all of this, not the jealousy component explicitly, but it walks you through how all of your subconscious blocks and whatnot develop and how your nervous system responds and how that blocks you in terms of money, because these are conversations we need to have more of. And I want to open these conversations up so that you can get to know yourself better. The more you get to know yourself, the more money that you get to make, the more fun you get to make in your business, and life just becomes easier. I don't know. Doesn't that sound good? To me, it sounds really good. If it sounds good to you, go check out the podcast. Otherwise, the secret podcast, that is. Sorry, because this is the podcast, but go check out the secret one. And I can't wait to chat with you all again next week. Until then, take care of yourselves and have fun in your business.